In a world where black brilliance has been exported for centuries, where African doctors heal European patients, where African engineers build American cities, where African minds power Western innovation, what happens when 7,000 of them say no more and come home? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to History and Legacy Africa. Today we witness something that has never happened before in modern history. The Great Reversal. The Homecoming. The moment when Africa's children stopped serving outsiders and started serving their motherland. Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation once dismissed as one of the poorest on earth. But under Captain Ibrahim Traore, something extraordinary is unfolding. Over 7,000 Burkinabe professionals from Europe, the Americas, Asia, and other African nations have touched down in Ouagadougou. Doctors who once worked in Paris hospitals, engineers who built Silicon Valley dreams, scientists who powered European innovation, all boarding one-way tickets home. This is not migration. This is revolution. And at 36 years old, Captain Ibrahim Traore has issued a challenge that shook the foundations of neo-colonialism. If we don't build our nation, no one else will. Stay with us, because this isn't just another story. It's the future our ancestors dreamed of. Subscribe and stay, because Africa is no longer bowing down. For decades, Burkina Faso existed exactly as the West designed it to be. Poor, dependent, grateful. A nation that grew cotton but never owned textile factories. A land rich in gold, but whose people lived in poverty. Young minds educated just enough to serve foreign companies, then shipped abroad to work for pennies compared to their true worth. This was the Africa we inherited. Aid money that created more dependency. Foreign loans that strangled sovereignty. Western partnerships that enriched everyone except Africans themselves. Generation after generation, our brightest stars left villages for cities, cities for Europe, and eventually found themselves trapped in foreign lands, building other people's dreams while their own homeland crumbled. But Ibrahim Traore understood something that previous leaders missed. He saw the machine. He understood that terrorism, instability, and poverty weren't accidents. They were products, carefully manufactured to keep Africa weak, divided, and dependent. When Traore took power in September 2022, Burkina Faso was bleeding from every wound imaginable. So-called terrorist attacks had killed thousands. Villages lay in ruins. Millions were displaced. The economy was on life support, dependent on foreign aid that came with strings attached to the country's soul. Yet this 36-year-old captain saw opportunity where others saw only crisis. His vision was radical in its simplicity: self-reliance, national pride, and absolute sovereignty. No more begging. No more borrowing. No more bowing down. The first miracle came in his call to the diaspora. Not as guests, not as visitors, but as partners. Come home, he said. Your knowledge belongs here. Your people need you here. We will build this nation together. And they listened. Dr. Aminata Zongo, who had spent more than a decade as a neurologist in France, left behind her comfortable Parisian career. Her words were simple but thunderous. My knowledge belongs here. My people need me here. Traore has given us the courage to come back, and we will not fail him. She was not alone. Cardiologists from Canada, orthopedic surgeons from Germany, cancer specialists from the United States, engineers from Silicon Valley, software developers from Berlin, fashion designers from Milan, all abandoning six-figure salaries, cold European apartments, and Western comfort for the red soil and ancestral pride of Burkina Faso. This was the great reversal that neo-colonialism never saw coming. For the first time in modern history, Africa's brain drain was flowing backward. The exodus had become a homecoming, and the world was watching in shock. The revolution began where it mattered most, with life itself. Out of the 7,000 returnees, 120 doctors joined forces with the government to build what will become West Africa's biggest specialist hospital. Not another underfunded public clinic struggling with broken equipment and empty medicine cabinets. This will be a medical fortress equipped with modern diagnostic machines, advanced surgical theaters, intensive care units, and a full rehabilitation wing. Neurology, cardiology, pediatrics, trauma care, all the specialties that had forced Africans to fly to Europe for treatment, emptying their savings to heal their bodies on foreign soil. But no more. Under Traore's vision, Burkina Faso will become the medical hub for the entire Sahel region. Picture this. Instead of sending patients to Paris or London, families from Mali, Niger, and Ghana will travel to Ouagadougou. African wealth staying in African hands. African expertise healing African bodies. African excellence competing with the best hospitals on earth. But the medical revolution was just the beginning. Traore had done something no African leader had dared in recent times. He opened his country's resources directly to his people. Free land for commercial farming. Free land for real estate development. Free land for industrial projects. Thousands of acres of fertile soil, backed by tax incentives and state-provided farm equipment. The agricultural transformation is breathtaking. Engineers and scientists working side by side with local farmers, introducing irrigation systems that turn dry land into green paradise. Drones monitoring crop health from the sky. Modern storage facilities ensuring that not a single grain is wasted. The goal is not just to feed Burkina Faso, it's to turn the country into Africa's food hub by 2029. In 2024, Burkina Faso announced a national record, 7 million tons of cereals in a single season. Maize, millet, rice, sorghum, and groundnuts. Not just grown, but processed. Food processing plants that don't export raw crops but produce packaged flour, oils, and juices ready for international markets. The technology revolution followed close behind. Young Burkinabe who once coded for Microsoft and Google are now building hubs in Ouagadougou, teaching programming to children as young as 10 years old. High school students learning software development, artificial intelligence, and robotics, not to serve Silicon Valley, but to create African solutions for African problems. Apps connecting farmers directly to markets, cutting out exploitative middlemen. Platforms linking diaspora investors with local startups. Digital payment systems reducing corruption in government services. One startup is even developing drones, designed in Burkina Faso, for agricultural spraying and border surveillance. Traore's words echo through every innovation. Africa cannot remain the consumer of other people's technology. We must become producers. And that's exactly what's happening. If you believe this is what Africa needed all along, say Amen in the comments below. The world is not happy. Western powers are watching 7,000 highly skilled Africans abandon their systems and return home. Doctors they desperately need in their hospitals. Engineers who keep their industries running. Scientists who drive their innovation. All of them now building Burkina Faso instead. This is a nightmare for neocolonialism because when Africa's children stop serving outsiders and start serving their homeland, the balance of power shifts forever. The dependency model that has enriched Europe and America for centuries suddenly faces its greatest threat, African self-reliance. But Traore knew that transformation without security is transformation without future. He refused to play the victim of so-called terrorism. Instead, he called out the game openly. Terrorism is a machine created and sponsored by foreign powers who want to destabilize us so they can exploit us again. His response was revolutionary. Every Burkinabe between 18 and 35 has been encouraged to undergo basic defense training. Not just joining the military, making the entire nation a shield against foreign aggression. Men and women learning to fire rifles, organize during attacks, provide medical aid, and work with local defense committees. In every village, young people now see themselves as soldiers of sovereignty. They're not waiting for the army to save them. They are the army. This is how Traore built a people's war, a defense strategy that cannot be defeated by foreign-sponsored mercenaries. Strategic alliances with Russia and China secured modern weapons, drones, armored vehicles, and surveillance technology. When the United States and France offered military aid in exchange for access to mineral wealth, Traore's response was crystal clear. We will not trade our gold for guns. We will build both with our own hands. The Burkinabe army today is unrecognizable from 5 years ago. Soldiers who once fought with outdated weapons now carry modern rifles, night vision goggles, and armored trucks with drone support. They train with Russian advisors, but they fight for themselves. And every day, their victories against terror cells are celebrated across the nation. The unity is unprecedented. Citizens are not standing aside watching soldiers fight. They are part of the fight. Communities welcome new police units like heroes. Farmers bring food and water to soldiers patrolling their fields. Children cheer when they see military trucks, calling out Traore's name with joy and pride. But for Captain Ibrahim Traore, security is not just about fighting. It's about creating conditions where Burkinabe citizens no longer live in fear. That's why hospitals are rising. That's why the diaspora returned. That's why free land flows to farms and industries. That's why, by 2029, when elections are held, Burkina Faso must be standing tall. His promise is sacred. In 2029, Burkina Faso will hold elections. But he wants those elections to mean something real. Not a choice between foreign-backed candidates. Not a circus of empty promises. But a moment when Burkinabe citizens can look at their nation and declare, "We built this. We own this. We are proud of this." Roads paved with African hands. Farms feeding millions with African crops. Industries humming with African innovation. Hospitals treating patients with African excellence. Schools raising the next generation of African leaders. He wants to hand over a nation, not a mess. And with the diaspora by his side, with the people behind him, and with Africa watching closely, that dream is no longer impossible. It's inevitable. Brothers and sisters, this story reaches far beyond the borders of Burkina Faso. This is about Africa as a whole. Captain Ibrahim Traore is teaching us that we don't need to wait for foreigners to save us. We don't need their aid, their loans, their false promises of partnership that always end in exploitation. Everything we need is already here. In our land, in our people, in our diaspora scattered across the globe, but never forgotten by the motherland that birthed them. If Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation once called one of the poorest on earth, can rise like this, then every African country can rise. Ghana can rise. Nigeria can rise. Senegal, Kenya, South Africa. All of us can rise. This is the revolution Traore is calling us to join. A revolution of dignity. A revolution of self-reliance. A revolution of unity that no foreign power can break. It's time for Africa. 7,000 Burkinabe citizens have returned home. 120 doctors are building the biggest specialist hospital in West Africa. Free land flows to farms and industries like rivers of opportunity. Roads are being paved by African hands. Factories rise from African soil. Soldiers train with African pride. Above it all stands Captain Ibrahim Traore, 36 years old, with the vision of an elder and the courage of a warrior. He has lit the fire. His people have embraced it. Now the diaspora has returned to fan it into a flame that no foreign power can extinguish. Captain Ibrahim Traore has shown us the blueprint. His people have proven it works. The world is nervous because for the first time in decades, Africa is rising without asking permission. So I ask you, my brothers and sisters across Africa and in the diaspora, if Burkina Faso can do it, what excuse do we have? The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. If this story moved something in your chest, don't scroll past. Like, share, speak, subscribe, because they hid our history long enough. Let's speak our future out loud. Thank you for being here with us. We'll see you in the next story, the kind they still don't want you to hear. This is History and Legacy Africa, and this, my friends, is the story of a nation reborn under Captain Ibrahim Traore.